Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Quake World Championships North American Qualifiers. This is the start of Week 3 now for the Duel Qualifiers, and we are just about ready to get started with our first match. Joining me, as usual, is going to be Victor Carja. How you doing today, man?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little bit under the weather today, so hopefully I'll be able to push myself through this. But I'm hyped. I'm ready to get back on the Quake train and ready to cast some awesome Quake matches. And our first match today is going to be Funkyvt versus hartescout, coming in from one of our first initial brackets here. However, before we jump into that one, we've had an interesting previous 2 weeks of qualifiers as well. We've already had a lot of the big names from some of the previous versions of Quake qualifying. Let's talk a little bit about some of the names that have already made it through.
Well, obviously, some of the big names. Rafa's obviously made it through with Team Liquid. We had it's actually sat out last week. I wonder if that was maybe he was out of town, or maybe it's some kind of arrangement where he didn't want to interfere with Rafa. I'm not sure with being there on the same team and all that. Malvo made it through in week 1 cleanly. Actually, that's kind of a player to watch for. He just kind of blew through his side of the bracket. Who else do we have make? I'm looking through the entire list. Dewey, I'm glad Dewey made it. I was working with Dewey a little bit and helping him out, and I'm really glad he was able to make it through and turn it around in week 2. He didn't quite make it in week 1. Had a tough loss, very long match with Chance, and was able to swing it around. So good for Dewey. And there's a long list of guys here that. It's interesting. Carnage hasn't made it yet. We're gonna have to watch out for him today.
Yeah, he's been grinding it out as far as I've been paying attention to. So he's definitely looking to claim his spot. He's been unsuccessful so far.
Yeah, it just goes to show. I mean, it putting in the work is no guarantees. At the top level. So just got to work hard and keep try to stay mentally strong, I guess, and keep at it. So. Pitt played a great game. Speaking of Carnage not making it through, Pitt played excellent in his bracket and was able to beat Carnage, which is a big win. I wouldn't call it an upset per se. I know a lot of people are expecting Carnage to get through, but you got to watch out for a lot of these other players who've been putting in the work, putting in the time in Duel.
Well, it does look like our first match is pretty much ready to go, guys, so we are going to hop in and take a look at the draft now. Like I said, hartescout taking on Funkyvt, so it's time to take a look at the picks here and see if anything has changed. Like I said, I was absent last week. I was helping out with another project, so I'm happy to be jumping back on Quake. Let's take a look at these first players' initial picks and see if there's anything crazy on here. Looks pretty standard so far, right?
Yeah, I would be surprised if hartescout doesn't go with something fast here. Maybe an Anarchy, Nyx. Interesting, Galena. So nothing terribly fast on hartescout's side. Kind of interesting. We'll see how that works out for him.
Well, it looks like we're jumping into the actual match now, guys. So the players will load in. We'll get through the warm up and whatnot. And then we can start it off, and it's going to be on Blood Covenant, which of course was one of the initial maps that we saw put into Quake Champions, and has been the one the players have had more than enough time to get themselves familiar with. So both of these guys should be very familiar with this map and very proficient at it as well.
And the winner of this match is going to have to play Demon Sphere. I believe I'm reading this correctly. He didn't play in week 2, but he played in the week 1 qualifier and lost to Malvo before. Won a couple matches first and then lost to Malvo, so he progressed through the bracket in week 1. So these guys are going to have a decent game ahead of them. So whoever wins.
Yeah. So once again, guys, just getting through the warm up here, and we'll have plenty more matches as the day goes on. And just to give a bit of an update on, or a bit of a reminder, I should probably say, on how the format actually works here. This is going to be played out to the round of 16. So players that make it up to the round of 16, they're going to be safe. They're going to be good for today. But they still have to play more on Sunday, but they have to play one more match. And if they win that match, then at that point is when they will actually qualify for their respective regionals. Obviously, here in North America for the NA regionals, and for the EU guys who played yesterday, they're going to qualify for the EU regionals on Sunday if they make it into the top 8. And that's what we were talking about before. With those 16 players from the previous 2 weeks in each region that have already qualified, including some very big historical names in Quake, like the previous world champion Rafa, who qualified last weekend. So anyway, it's time to get into the match, and let's take a look here at as the initial round, I believe, has started. Taking a look at hartescout first, as he's starting off on the Ranger. Well, Funky's going to go over to the Anarchy, so a little bit better movement speed for him, but hartescout also has that dire orb to jump around a little bit if he wants to.
And next big pickup should be fighting over this mega health.
Well, Funky's got a pretty easy lock right now on the hartescout there. A lot of damage coming in. Oh, the follow-off rocket as well. Hartescout, unfortunately, just dove right into that one, and he's already lost his first champion here.
Yeah, good LG in the back by Funky. He's got full control right now. He just needs to focus on keeping those items around and not, getting in bad position for an ambush, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Funky's still hopping around here too, trying to find out where hartescout's gone. And in the meantime, hartescout's still basically fresh spawn, really hasn't picked up too much besides a couple of extra weapons. And the only really good weapon he's got so far is the rocket launcher. So he's looking a little bit weak on his stack, but nonetheless, okay engagement, gets the first shot off, but does end up bailing away from it now, and he's kind of backed into a corner down here. Oh, the spin around rocket though. Last second turnaround in that fight, as he does take down Funky to tie it up at 1 kill to 1 kill so far.
Yeah, a little mistiming, but Funky dived down there, a good turnaround rocket. I mean, gotta be careful with those light characters down there.
Yeah. Thankfully, hartescout's on a fairly tanky character at the moment. He did whiff the charge a second ago there and trying to take down the fresh spawn of Funky, but it doesn't matter too much now as he's going to be able to jump into another fight and still has the rocket engagement to work on here. Shot connected, but seems a little skittish to actually jump into the fight, so he's just hanging out in mid.
Somebody should let these guys know there's a mega health on the map.
Yeah, it's been sitting there for a little bit now, so. Like I said before, earlier in the brackets, we probably have some newer guys jumping into the fray as well, but.
I know, I'm having a little fun.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, another fight about to begin. Funky has not realized his opponent was just following him just yet, or was trying to read into the situation a little better. In the meantime, Hart, well, he's got him engaged, but oh, in a really bad position right now, stuck at the low ground. Thankfully, I took that one rocket hit. In better situations, would have taken a lot more damage there, just like that, as he gets hit by the rail from up on top by Funky, and now completely surrounded. Funky hitting a second rail now, and he also claims his second kill of the round.
Nice railing right there. Yeah, just I agree, Hart. I agree. Nice railing by Funky. Good high position too.
Yeah, Funky definitely better in the positional game in this one. And oh, trying to line up another one. That almost might have gotten the kill too. You can see how low hartescout's health is, just below, the champion pictures there. You can actually get a nice little preview of their health now. But so he was sitting just below 1 tick of it, and we had about 25 HP left. However, just managed to escape. Thankfully, Funky missed that final rail. Couldn't take him out immediately. Which also would have ended the round too. So hartescout gets to survive for a little bit longer. Now, note, hartescout is running a little bit low on time. For those of you who didn't get to catch any of our previous week's matches here, or have not tried out the new game here, Quake Champions, just yet, you'll be unfamiliar with the fact that there is actually a time limit on this new duel format. So it goes up to 5 minutes, and if you have more champions left in your pool than your opponent, then at that point you will win on the timer. However, if it is tied, regardless of the number of champions left, if it's tied with the same number of champions for each player, at that point it will go into an overtime, and the next kill will win.
A little mistake there by Funky. He could have had that heavy armor rather easily. Gave it to Hart, and Hart took advantage. This is his chance if he wants to make a run. I mean, he's got to come at him right now.
Funky still looking around here for his opponent, who's at this point way across the map currently.
Yeah, Funky just needs to play defensive and just throw some rockets in doorways, make sure he doesn't get rushed. Use that acid spit if necessary.
Yeah, he still has that as a nice defensive cooldown if he really needs to use it here, but he's got really good control of the situation. And like I mentioned before with the timer, the round's going to be ending in about 10 seconds here anyway, so hartescout absolutely has to dive into this one, if he can even find Funky in time. Funky's doing a really good job of just completely evading his opponent, and in about 2 seconds here, yeah, this is impossible. That round number 1, that's going to go over to Funky.
Yeah, he was pretty much in control that round. He had that little misfire down there, the lightning gun. But other than that, for most of the game, he was relatively in control. I felt looked like he was putting decent pressure on his opponent.
Yeah, so we're gonna see now if hartescout will be able to claim himself a response round, or if Funky is just gonna try to crush this one. I know how the format works in the actual matches too. For those who, like I said before, have not been able to catch any of the previous week's action, the maps themselves are played on a best-of-5 basis. So you need to win 3 rounds in order to take a map. However, excuse me, the matches here are played in a series of 3 maps. You need 2 of those to be able to win and advance further into the tournament, and subsequently knock your opponent out of the tournament, as this is a single elimination bracket too. That Once again, things starting off relatively slowly here with Funky. Definitely looking like he's got the movement down pat here, a little bit more than hartescout as he does move around. He's already got himself built up with a pretty good stack. He's got rockets, he's got the lightning gun, and now he's got rails too, so he's built up. He is starting off on a slightly squishier champion than what hartescout has, so he's going to do a little bit more work to take his opponent down. However, like I said before, he's got the movement, he's got the weapons built up right now. Meanwhile, hartescout is still looking to get himself started. Besides building up just his regular armor and health, all he's managed to get so far is the rocket and lightning gun. He's not managed to pick up rails just yet. No, he's trying to take a long-range battle with those rockets. This may end badly. Thankfully for him, Funky, up until that point, was missing a lot of his rails, so managed to survive the encounter. But if Funky was a little bit more on point with those rails, hartescout would have already been a dead man here.
Yeah, tactically, that was a little oops there by hartescout. You don't want to engage long range with the rail when you have just a rocket launcher. Looks like he's going to go for that mega health. Oh, there we go. It's been there for about a minute, I think.
Yeah, and in a moment here, if he wants to, he can run back over there and get the full armor too, as that's spawning right now. But neither player currently looking for that one. hartescout still just kind of running around the map here, looking for more pickups. And again, he's found his opponent, so might go for the engagement here, but again, bailing out at the last second and choosing not to go for it. But it looks like Funky's ready to engage. He's already been stacked up for a while here now. Just the trouble of locking down his opponent in a proper position and actually finding the correct timing to go for this engagement. But he's waited this out the full 30 seconds, and it should be noted now that that full armor actually has been there for that full timer too. So it's been sitting there for a good 30+ seconds at this point. And it just got picked up by hartescout finally. But Funky also got the mega health, so the spawns are relatively even right now. There's only about a 4-second gap between them. Funky, though, ready to go in on the jump and trying to engage, but again, having a real hard time locking down where exactly hartescout's at. He's kind of rolling all over the place at this point.
Yeah, I'm smiling a little bit watching hartescout because it reminds me of the you know, the early days when you're learning and getting better at this game, especially Duel. And so there's if somebody's like trying to make a play, you know, a lot, you know, based on some kind of logical assumption, you know, you're going to have some information. Oh, he's going to do this because of that. That completely breaks down because the person's new and they're just kind of doing what they feel is right at the time. And it's entertaining to me to watch that because it's like that discovery process.
There's basically none of that logic that you would normally apply. It really applies here, unfortunately. So hartescout has been able to dodge a fight for the last 3.5 minutes almost.
He's got, I mean, you can see they got the idea of their timing. It's just, you know, compared to obviously some of the top pros, you can see how much more on top of timing they are. These guys are obviously going at their best. Funky, like you said, has a little better handle on the movement. So
yeah, a little bit of a fight finally starting off now with hartescout trying to get into it. So far, all of his shots missing though. Hasn't connected even once onto Funky. Funky having trouble really sustaining that damage as hartescout keeps being able to recover. hartescout has that totem which will throw down, but he's not using it to heal himself. He's actually going to back away from that one and just leave it for his opponent to run over there.
Got away with like 58 health.
I'm actually relatively curious, prior to that fight we just saw, how much damage had actually been done throughout the course of the round so far. As I think besides that one fight, Funky may have hit hartescout like once or twice, but I'm pretty sure that's it for this whole round. Besides that, they just have been dodging each other the whole entire round so far. hartescout once again going to find himself pinned. Does connect onto the rail though, and he's low now. Only 4 HP left. You can tell he's being a little bit careful. Not really wanting to dive into the fight. Does try to juke his opponent. Gets out of the range of the LG, or at least he thought he did. Funky at the last moment does come in, finally claiming a kill about 4.5 minutes into the round. And now this is extremely dangerous for hartescout, as the problem is he only has 30 seconds left to trade that kill back, while Funky is still basically at full health. He's at overcharged armor currently. And the health spawn's going to come up in about 20 seconds. This is exactly when the round ends, so the mega health is really not going to become relevant here, but still, Funky basically just has to stay alive for 15 more seconds, and he's won the second round.
Yeah, he doesn't even have to go for this heavy armor. He will anyway. I think he's pretty confident he's going to get this win right now. You have 5 seconds left, and especially now with the heavy armor, it'd take something drastic, I don't think, but yeah, it's not going to happen.
So 2-0, one more round from Funky, and he will be able to win this first map here. Do note that there are 2 maps required in order to win. So Funky's victory will not push him forward into the, I believe they'd go into the round of 128. I'm not entirely sure if these guys got buys or not, but they would move on to the next stage after a second map's victory. Again, it looks like actually the fight's going to start off relatively quickly here. Funky already has the LG, so he's going to have a big advantage in this fight. Attempt of a dire orb use from hartescout. It does get him a little bit more range. Oh, and he gets a little bit close there. Unfortunately, Funky did manage to get off his injection, so he recovered quite a bit of health in the middle of that fight and was able to win out on top at the end, claiming the first kill. This time, much faster.
Yeah, really close, actually. The injection definitely looks like it saved his life there.
Funky in the match there. He's still a little bit low. Pretty much recovered his health. He just doesn't have a lot of armor to work off of, so if a rail or something connects on him, that's going to be dangerous. Not much of a problem now that he's got the mega health, and like I said before, his opponent still seems like he's kind of learning the ropes about the spawn timers and whatnot, so the full armor is in the open right now. Funky wants to run over to the other side of the map and try to grab that too. He's trying to read into his opponent. He almost got it there, just a little bit early on the timing. Now he's got him locked down. He's got to be careful, though. This is a dangerous fight to be taking with that little armor, especially against that champion, as the skill bearer does have quite a much larger health pool compared to Funky. But he's smart, just does a little bit of damage and bails out. Goes for the armor, and then can run straight back over here for the mega health now and tank himself up.
Yeah, he's recognized that he's the better of the two in regard to movement, so he should use that to his advantage, right? And just kind of keep that fluent movement going, and he can get around the map a lot faster than his opponent, so he can make a lot more plays than his opponent can, and no sense doing anything careless, because you can outrun the guy. I mean, just disengage and go get some items and come back.
Yep. So Funky got him now at range with the rail. I don't believe hartescout actually has one currently, so oh no, he does have a rail, but he got tagged by that one, so he is going to push him back downstairs to try and hide and recover a little bit here. Mega health is spawned, so he can run upstairs and grab that if he wants to on the jump pad, but choosing not to at this point in time. He's gonna he's a little newer. Like I said, he's trying to get his feet wet, I guess, with Duel, and he's this is part of the experience is growing. So he just doesn't know what's up, and that's cool. I mean, I remember those days. That's why I'm kind of having some fun watching him, because it reminds me of the early days learning Duel, and just kind of that. It's almost scary. You don't know where anybody is half the time. A good majority of the time, you don't know where people are, and it's like, oh no, like just like that. It's just kind of it's a whole different experience. And now Funky is moving in to try and lock down this second kill if he can, and over to the super shotgun to claim the final shot. A little bit of style being added here by Funky, as I think he knows he has control over this map at this point. Only one champion remains in hartescout's pool now. It is going to be over on the Galena, but if that one goes down, then that'll be it, and Funky will claim map number 1 in this best of 3 set. And Funky at this point, continuing to just hop around and try to claim as much of it as he can. He's been tanked up for pretty much this entire round so far, except for the very beginning when he was trying to get the timers down. But at the moment, he does have full control over both of the power-ups. Moving in, well, almost had hartescout locked down, but again, hartescout bailing out of the fight once more. Rails attempts from Funky. Those poles sitting in the middle are getting in the way of him, though. He's missing the shot. There's 3, I believe, and finally gives up on it as hartescout runs away, and Funky will just wait for the rocket spawn to come back in and move over to pick up the mega health, as that's been up for quite a few seconds now, too.
Funky doesn't have to do anything right now. It's all hartescout who has to push. So Funky can just, grab whatever item he wants, and if things get hairy, he can just run. Oh, nice little combo there. Nice combo.
One more shot, he might be able to finish off his opponent here, and there you go, over to the LG to close it out, and finally we're going to have a round closed out, not by the timer, but actually by kills there, and it is going to be Funkyvt that takes it 3-0 in map number 1.
Yeah, nicely done for Funky. For he had to win his match, he won his match. I mean, that map anyway, and he did what he had to do. Some decent movement from Anarchy. You can tell he's been practicing and getting better at that. So, good job, Funky. I like how he admitted he was a little nervous. I don't know if you're reading the chat. He said how nervous he was, and
yeah.
I think that's cool. Like that's part of the experience. Going in these tournaments. And, controlling your emotions, controlling your nerves, a big part of it.
Yeah,
that'll definitely impact your play.
Absolutely. So like we said before, Funky claims the first map. This is a best of 3 series, so still one more map to go. You may have caught it there in the chat. The players are just discussing now what they'd like to do for their second map picks. And as soon as they complete that discussion and you load themselves up and ready to go for the second map, we can jump right back into it here. And then they can begin the fight once again and see if hartescout's going to be a little bit better off on another map here. But hartescout definitely still learning the ropes, as we said before. Was starting to get it towards the end there. Was starting to go for more pickups. Was routing around the map a little bit better there. But overall, definitely in terms of the movement and in terms of the just game knowledge overall, there definitely seems like Funky has a pretty big advantage at this point in time.
Yeah, he seems a little more more polished than of the two for sure. But like so I enjoy guys like hartescout giving it a go. That's what it's all about. You know, it's just about having fun and you know, getting in there and just trying your best. You know what I mean? And so some people may be a little critical, and you know, in regard to, you know, how good people are in the, you know, at the beginning, but you know, this is how you get better. You can't just not play, and you can't put yourself out there a little bit. So good for him, and I'm glad these new players are giving it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're giving it quite a big shot here too. Even Funky is talking about now. If we check the match chat, he said he didn't stop shaking until the third round, as he was so nervous for being on the main stream and all that. So even he's feeling the pressure a little bit. But like I said before, he's doing quite well for his actual first match here. So no reason to be nervous for him. It's definitely hartescout. That should probably be the more nervous player at this point.
Yeah, it's a fun chat. I'm glad he's I just remember having those jitters, and like so my palms getting clammy, and like during a match, I mean, having to wipe my palms on my pants. I mean, that's so I feel for these guys.
Yeah.
I feel for these guys just breaking out and trying to do this stuff for the first time.
Well, it looks like the players themselves are almost ready to start here. Actually, it does appear, though, guys, that it looks like we're going to swap to another match that's currently going on. So we are going to jump off these players for a little bit. We're going to give their nerves a little bit of a break. And we ourselves are going to jump over to a very quick break, guys, just so we can transition to the match very cleanly and whatnot. But as soon as we are in that new lobby, we'll be bringing it right back to you as soon as we have the new match started. So stick with us, and we'll be back with a separate match in just a couple of seconds here.